Hello, and welcome to another edition of Focus on Hope. My name is Eve Moffett, and I'm your host. We have with us today Barbara and Fran from the Verde Valley Alzheimer's Support Group. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Thank you so much for coming. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am interested in this subject because my mother, in her later years, had Alzheimer's. She was what they call a sundowner, which meant that as it came evening and began to get dark, she got particularly restless, and my dad, neither heard nor saw well, and the game was for her to try to get away from him. And it was scary because they lived in the forest outside of Prescott, and if she got into the forest, she would be gone. So we had her go stay in a care home, a very lovely one there in Prescott. But when this opportunity came up to be active in a caregiver support group, that appealed to me because it was something I knew something about.
Oh. And how did you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a transplant from Southern California, and I married a man. It was the second marriage for both of us, and his niece's mother, my husband's sister-in-law, suffered from Lewy body dementia, which is a form of Alzheimer's. And in observing what they went through, I got involved. And when we moved here, the church where I was music director, we had a dear, dear lady who would sing whenever she felt like it, and she was just a charming, charming lady, and she had Alzheimer's. And her dear husband, it was so sweet to watch him work with her. And he got us all involved in how to handle her. And that got Fran and I interested in starting a support group. And so that's what got it going.
How long has this group been around, Fran?
Well, we had our training session in December of 2010, but it was going to run into Christmas, and we didn't think that was a good time to be trying to start anything brand new. So for the training session, the Alzheimer's, they aren't the headquarters, they must be the Northern Arizona Division. They have an office in Prescott. Anyway, they sent a trainer over to Cottonwood, and we rounded up 8 people in our church. Actually, I don't think we rounded them up at all. I think we simply announced what it was we were going to do, and we had 8 people who said, oh, good, we'll take the training. So in December of 2010, we created a starter group of 8 people, and we decided not to compete with everything that goes on at Christmas. So we actually had our first meeting in January of 2011.
Well, where does the group meet?
It meets at Verde Valley Presbyterian Church in Cottonwood.
Where's that located?
It's kind of catty corner from the high school baseball field. It's on Hombre Drive. You go in on Camino Real,
Okay.
past the high school
Okay.
baseball team,
Okay.
and then turn right up the hill.
1500 Hombre Drive
Yeah.
is the address.
Yeah. Now, how long was the training?
How long?
Was the training?
All day. Felt like 3, but it was all
Yes.
day. It was
I
pretty
think it was
extensive.
4 hours, 2 in the
Yes.
morning and 2 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
It
was a
pretty
lunch break.
extensive.
Yeah. You have some statistics you'd like to tell us.
Yes. Let me go back to my notes. Every 67 seconds, someone develops Alzheimer's. That's pretty scary.
Yes.
It's the 6th leading cause of death in the U.S., not in the world, just in the U.S. In 2013, 15.5 million caregivers, of which 2.5 are women.
Yes.
Unpaid value is $220 billion, which is nearly 8 times the total revenue of McDonald's in 2012.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So no wonder our medical expenses are so high.
Yeah.
And the insurance and all of that. 1 in 6 women get Alzheimer's, more than men.
Yes, I read that.
Yeah. 2014 cost to the nation 214 billion in the nation, including 150 billion in costs to Medicare and Medicaid. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Billion, not million, billion.
Billions. Difference.
Yeah, that's just a small portion. And that you can get off the Alzheimer's website. And it's easy, it's alzheimers.org. And that's the Alzheimer's Association website. And there's tons of information and
And you don't
things.
even have to spell Alzheimer's.
No,
Yeah.
ALZ. ALZ. That's all you
ALZ.
need.
Will get
Yeah.
you there.
Now, how often does your group meet?
Once a month, first Wednesday of every month.
Now, how many people come to your group?
Well, when we started, for months, we had 1.
Well, we were doing it every Wednesday, and what we got was 1 person each of the 4 Wednesdays.
Uh-huh.
So we decided that
Wasn't working.
wasn't
Yeah.
giving of the group support.
Yeah.
So we went to once a month, and so we usually get at least 4. We get 7 or 8. It runs, I would say, from 6 to 9
We've
on
had as
average.
many as 15.
Yeah,
When we have a speaker, which we try to do
Periodically.
maybe 4 times a year, we get a lot. So
Now, the ages of the people that attend.
that varies. One time, we've had a teenager come in who has had a grandparent, and she wants to know what's going on. And that was really, really good.
Yes.
I was glad to see that a young person was coming in wanting information. But most of them are
well, most are
45
either
on up.
spouses or their children. And sometimes it's both from the same family. But, they tend to run the age that spouses are,
Yes.
usually from 50 on up.
Yes.
And the children from, say, 30 on up.
Yes. Do the Alzheimer's patients themselves attend?
Some,
They're not supposed to, because sometimes it's uncomfortable for others to talk about their situation in front of an Alzheimer's patient. But we do have one who comes. She's very aware of what's going on. She's not disruptive. The association probably doesn't want us to say that, but she does come, and my personal opinion is we would rather have her husband come and get the information than sit home and wonder what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So we accept them, and it's not been a problem.
At
No.
And the office in Prescott has groups for early Alzheimer's.
Oh, they do?
Yes, but we don't have one in Cottonwood.
Uh-huh.
They decide, I suppose, where the need is and go organize one there. But there is a program and there's a newsletter that these early Alzheimer's people write and publish that gets put out every spontaneously, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times a year.
Yes.
So there are programs for the early stage people.
Okay.
It's on
Now-
the website. I
Okay.
saw that early stage.
Uh-huh.
I got into it a little bit last night. It was quite interesting.
Oh, yeah. Now, I'm told there's 7 stages, or...
Yeah, and you don't recognize them because usually the caregiver, who is usually the husband, just thinks, oh, they're just forgetful. They're getting older, so they're forgetting. Well, if you've got the keys to the car in your hand and you don't know what that key is, if you think it's a shovel, you got a problem. It's not, where are my keys? That's normal. But if you don't know what the keys, that they're keys, then you've got a problem. Or if you've got a hairbrush in your hand and you don't know that it's a hairbrush, you got a problem. And that's one of the early things. But people that live with an Alzheimer's patient or a dementia patient, because dementia, Alzheimer's is just one form of a dementia. There are many kinds of dementia. And Alzheimer's is one little pocket.
It's probably the biggest percentage.
Could
maybe,
be.
Might be as much as 40 or 45%.
Yeah.
Of the people, but there are various other things. And the other thing I think that makes quite a difference, you're talking about these caregivers who say, well, there's nothing really wrong, they're
Right.
just absent-minded and getting old. There's an awful lot more public talk about Alzheimer's, and of course that's
Important.
the National Association is doing right now. They're in the process of running some kind of a continuing program, which the essence of which is get money to put an end to. And they chose Alzheimer's to start, but they're going to go on and have awareness programs and money-raising programs for all kinds of things, which of course there already are. I mean, there are walks for cancer and for what used to be polio and March of Dimes. I don't think they even call it March of Dimes anymore. But all the groups are trying to raise money to support their research. And they're doing, tell her about the Arizona research.
This little state, we learned at the Alzheimer's conference, which usually happens in March, is #1 in the country, almost the world, for medical research.
Wow.
To do with
For-
Alzheimer's.
Well, any research. They said medical research. They didn't just specifically say Alzheimer's. They said medical research. There are labs all over this state doing medical research. That was amazing to hear.
Yes.
With all of our problems,
Yeah.
to hear that we are number one in the country and almost the world
Wow.
for medical research.
Wow. What kind of research?
All kinds. All kinds. Banner is really into brain research and Alzheimer's or dementia research. They're doing incredible studies. There is one lab, TGen Labs, they're in Phoenix, and they have a study. It's a 10-minute little game. Get on it. If you've got a computer, it's called mindcrowd.org. They want 18 on up to do it. They're mapping how the brain works.
Yes.
It's an easy, I did it, it's an easy test. And if I can do it, anybody can do it. I am not computer literate, so it's easy. And it was kind of fun. It takes about as long as it takes to drink a cup of coffee.
Okay.
Mindcrowd.org.
And what is the website?
That's it.
Okay.
That's what you do. You just type it in. And there's some stuff. He wants some information about you at the beginning. It's totally safe. You might be accepted into a further study depending on your result, which you get right away within moments after you do the test. Or the game. Sorry, it's not a test, it's a game. And that one is really, really important. And he says, come visit the lab anytime. Anytime. You can come see us. We are legitimate. It's TGen Lab in Phoenix. And that was one of them that we got. We get this big book of stuff from different doctors and things that came. So it was really a good conference.
It is, and it's remarkably affordable. Costs $35. We carpool from here because they have it at the adult center
In Prescott.
in Prescott. I think that's all the name it has. But you get this big fat book there are 4 main speakers, 2 in
Okay.
the morning and 2 in the afternoon. And they send their information ahead, so it's put into that book. So you can sit there and listen to the guy talk and show his slides and what he says about them and make any notes you want to in your own book. And then they always have a very healthful lunch.
Very good lunch.
Yeah,
That's including the price?
yes.
The one thing that was really interesting to me was what the paramedics and the fire department and the law enforcement are doing. They're in Prescott. They're involved in a year study. There are 3 other states involved in this program on how to handle the calls that they get of dementia patients when they freak out,
Okay.
which happens frequently, and how to handle the patient and how to handle the caregiver or the loved ones that are watching these big cops come in and tackle their loved one and knock them to the ground and handcuff them and do all of this stuff. And the poor family is going, you're hurting my husband or you're hurting my wife and you're going to break their arms or whatever. They're freaking out. Well, they're learning how to not only take care of the patient, but take care of the caregiver and the family. And so they're counseling the family and they're explaining we have to subdue the patient because we have to protect you, we have to protect them, and we have to protect ourselves. Yes, we'll get the handcuffs off as soon as the paramedics get here and tell us they're safe. We can put soft cuffs on when they're safe. And they explain what's going on.
So this
So,
has been almost a year now.
It's been almost a year.
And they should have a report
On-
this next March, I would hope.
Yes, is this working? And then this education program will go out to the rest of the law enforcement on how to handle this, because it's not going away. It's not going to go away. They need that education. So that's a positive. That's really good. Because
Wow.
they don't want to go in and disrupt family, and they've got kids watching and all of this
Everybody's
stuff.
upset.
And, everybody, you know. The other important thing is they said, please, if you have a dementia person in your home, contact the police. Take a picture of that person. Get it to the sheriff's office, the hospital, the police, even the fire department. A full description, a description of your car, because they could get in the car and drive away. If they have those things, they can get to them quicker. Explain, are there weapons in the home? Where are they? Are they under lock and key? Where are the bullets? Where are the knives? Give them as much information as you can so that the authorities know what to expect, so that they can protect your loved one, yourself, and them. Everybody needs help. That would be incredibly important information to give to the authorities to protect your family. So
Or do people give this information to
we
them?
hope so. We need to get that word out. That was one of the big issues that we got from that conference, to get that word out. So
Yes.
at our meeting, our monthly meeting, we have said, please do that. And they have said, yes, we will. We'll make sure that happens. So that's
Wow.
real important.
Yeah. To change the subject, what about music therapy and the Alzheimer's patient?
They learned, I'm a musician, as you are, I learned, that most Alzheimer's patients their brain remembers the past. They don't necessarily remember 5 minutes ago. So the music that they had in 1940 is what they remember.
Ah.
So if you're playing that kind of music, it calms them. And they can smile. And it brings back some of those happy memories. And if you can, it also helps divert them from, if you've got a patient who's arguing with you over some silly thing like, I don't want to eat my dinner or whatever it is, turn on some of that music and they'll start to move to it. And you can divert their attention and maybe slip some of that green bean that they didn't want to eat in the first place to them, and they'll forget. And then next thing you know, they're eating, but they're moving to the music twofold. They're getting some activity, which is really important for an Alzheimer's person, all of us. And they're eating, and they're happy again. So there's all kinds of things. This guy, I've forgotten his name, speaking of Alzheimer's, they try to get him to move with rhythm, with picking up rhythm instruments and getting them to move, because getting Alzheimer's patients to exercise is real important.
Really?
It gets blood to the brain and gets things activated. It uses calories and gets them active. and it helps divert them from the depression that sometimes sets in. It just does all kinds of things, that activity.
Well, it engages their brain, so
Right.
they feel like they're connected.
Mm-hmm.
They don't feel like they're in a void of some sort.
Yes.
Especially the early stages. They know there's something wrong, and they begin to feel really guilty about putting this on their families. And they start going into depressions and really picking on each other, on themselves
Yes.
about all of this. And they start to hide. And
They try to hide how?
emotionally, they try to hide what's going on, and it's sad. It's sad for everybody. It's just bad.
Have you yourself have you personally been affected by the disease?
Well, through our niece and her mother, my husband's sister-in-law, with her Lewy body, that was pretty bad to watch.
Tell me
Because
what happened.
she would get combative, and it was hard to watch our niece go through it. And the niece would come to me and cry because she had nobody else. She couldn't cry at her daughter because she didn't want the daughter to see how frustrated her mother was. So she would come to me. And because I was connected to the family through marriage.
Mm-hmm.
And I tend to be able to handle those kinds of things, I guess. And I could talk to her, and we would cry together. Because if somebody cries, I'm dead in the water.
Yeah.
So,
It's like seeing somebody vomit. You're gonna vomit
no,
too.
I can hold that. But I can counsel her, and I could say, okay, have you talked to the doctor? Is it time yet for hospice? Hospice is not a dirty word. Don't be afraid of it. It doesn't mean they're dying. Please don't be afraid of hospice. It's a support group. They're not coming in and taking over your life. They're not coming in and taking over your finances. That's not what hospice is. A lot of times when patients go into hospice, they get better and they come out of hospice. And down the road, they'll go back in. Then they'll get better and they'll go back out. Then they'll go back in. I mean, it's not a death sentence. It's a support group, not only for the patient, but for you.
More for the caregiver.
More for the caregiver. So don't be afraid of hospice. It's not an evil thing that people think it is.
Huh?
And we always try to end our group with something funny.
Yeah? Like what?
Well, we had one, my favorite story. Her husband, her favorite thing was to go out for breakfast, and he had Alzheimer's. And they were sitting at the restaurant. At a corner from them was another couple, and obviously he had Alzheimer's also. And she could hear the wife going, well, you forgot your teeth. How are you going to eat your breakfast if you forgot your teeth? Well, our client's husband heard that. He gets up, takes his teeth out, and offers it to the man. Here, you can use my teeth. Both the wives looked at each other and went, oh, no. And I said, okay, that's when you need to write in the book, because I try to get people to write a book of fun things, funny things. Don't dwell on the horror. Dwell on the funny things so that when the worst happens, you can get that book out and laugh again. I said, put that one in the book. so that you can share it with the family. And so she was going to do that. But I always try to bring that one up when things are really bad in the group.
Yeah.
And they laugh.
Yeah.
And
Well-
we do have the Alzheimer's Association prints business cards which say, my loved one has Alzheimer's and
Please excuse,
you know,
have patience with us
Yes.
or something.
whatever
along
it
those lines.
is, it's just a way of notifying the other people in the room that
Yes.
there's a reason for
Yes.
whatever this bizarre behavior is.
Well, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
I really did appreciate it. You gave a lot of good information.
Thank you.
Fran, thank you.
You're certainly
Thank you,
welcome.
Barbara.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for joining us this week. And my name is Eve Moffett, and we'll see you next week on Focus on Hope.